Well, it's time now for our Industry Insights slot. This is where we get down to the nitty-gritty with a particular issue which is troubling, perturbing quite a lot of businesses in the Birmingham area at the moment. Steve Walker from Arts Business Loans is here.
Good afternoon.
Have I understated that to say access to finance is a big issue at the moment?
I think it's always been a big issue, but I think it very much is now. But it's a different type of access to finance issue that's emerging.
Tell me a bit about you, your connection to the city, your history, your heritage, the full story in 30 seconds.
The full story in 30 seconds. I'm Birmingham born and bred. I was educated in Birmingham, King Edward's Camp Hill. I went to a career in Barclays when it was a relationship bank. Worked there for many years and left in 1997 to set up our Aston Reinvestment Trust, as it was then, now called Art Business Loans, with Sir Adrian Cadbury and others, to make loans to small businesses that couldn't get their finance from the bank. It's taken me to all sorts of places and very interestingly on a government task force for a number of years and to various places in the world where access to finance is an issue but done in a different way.
All talk is now, with inflation continuing to rise, that we're going to be officially in recession at some point. What challenges specifically does that present to the business community in Birmingham, particularly maybe SMEs, in terms of just getting any kind of access to finance at the moment?
Well, first of all, the businesses at the end of the day have got to recognise that it's the right thing for them. Obviously, people will look for grants, but there's less grants available now. Go to specialists, save yourself a lot of time, don't use the internet, and go and have a look to see what's available, because there are grants available, particularly perhaps for energy saving. There might be more in the next weeks ahead, who knows. But in terms of loan finance, the first thing that the businesses have got to do is to actually look at their own position and make sure that a loan is the right thing for them. There are all sorts of different types of finance. It's all changed and it's a different world to what it used to be. But the businesses, first of all, got to actually work out for themselves what's right for them. And maybe I could come up with some other tips a little bit later on as to what they actually should do.
That's a tease, isn't it? So what are the big challenges at the moment? I mean, is there something, is there a shopping list of, say, look, if I'm a business owner and I'm struggling, I don't feel I'm getting a competitive deal, or I don't think I'm getting a wide enough choice. Am I doing something wrong? Are there some things that people typically do wrong?
Yeah, I think in the main, people still don't realise what's actually about. I mean, the world has changed. The banks are still the major lenders to small businesses. They are still the major lenders. But after the credit crunch 2008, the government and everybody else, in Bank of England in particular, encouraged others into the marketplace. So you heard alternative finance lenders, peer lenders, asset finance, invoice discounts, all those different. And I think it left some small businesses behind that there was this choice. And there was a lot of money about. One of the biggest problems, though, without any doubt, was the fact that the businesses themselves didn't realise where to go to. And it wasn't that well publicised, but there was a lot of money about.
So is that a lot of your job then, signposting?
It is, but we only lend if a bank actually, at Art, we only lend if a bank has actually said no. So we would like to think that basically people are coming to us after the bank has said no, but it might be part of a package. And a business now, and particularly in the present circumstances, will probably go to get the finance they need from a whole package of different finances. And it's knowing that those finances, we do know them because that's our business, but we might be part of that package to make something happen.
So what do you hear? I mean, you've got good intelligence then about how businesses are feeling at the moment. What kind of businesses are coming to you and what are they telling you?
Well, over the 25 years we've been in existence, we've lent to all sorts of business in all sorts of different sectors. You wouldn't be surprised to know that basically you've got the retail businesses, the hospitality businesses are finding it difficult. And now, with the energy crisis, I think more and more businesses, manufacturing businesses, are finding it difficult because they're having to look and say, well, how are we going to repay a loan back if our energy prices are going up? So we think and believe that there's going to be a bigger demand, and the banks are entrenching. They've come back in terms of how much they're lending. And so now the opportunity is there for the banks at the end of the day, for alternative finance suppliers like ourselves and additional suppliers to actually come in and help those businesses. I do think, though, that one of the biggest problems that's facing the business at the moment is to make sure that they've done their own calculations that they can afford the loan, because nobody should borrow if they can't afford to repay.
But of course the problem at the moment is they don't really know what they're comparing that against, are they? What's the yardstick? What they think they can compare at the start of this year is very different now to what they'll think in January, isn't it?
This is really different now. We've had credit crunches before, we've had the recession, and the banks didn't lend in those circumstances. But in these circumstances, which we've just had COVID, the banks did lend, but with a massive guarantee from the government, in some cases 100%. So that the people were awash, and it became very easy to borrow small amounts of money. It's not so easy now, and that's one of the messages I would give. It is not so easy now to borrow money. It will take more time, it will take more effort, and you might have to go to a lot of different places.
She's a bit busy this week, so she couldn't join us. But if Liz Truss was sat in this chair here instead of me, what would you tell her? What do you want the government to do? What's the shopping list?
Well, I think it would be not only at Liz Truss, but from my experiences of the last few years, don't forget that small businesses exist. They make up 99% of the businesses in the UK. 95% are micro businesses, 1 to 9 employees. 95%. And from my experience, I've seen very, very little help to those small businesses. It's mostly concentrated, when it's the public sector, on high growth businesses, equity, and those that are going to be the big, big success stories. Don't leave behind the small businesses, or you'll leave behind the whole of the economy. That's what I'd be saying.
Because they're the next ones off the production line that start.
Hopefully they're going to be they're going to be the biggest growth businesses for the future. Well, some of them are going to just basically be providing for their family and their future, and are going to be there forever.
We were talking to Henrietta a bit earlier and saying, the one thing you can't afford to do is dissuade entrepreneurs from giving it a go.
Oh no, that's what we have done over the years. We don't necessarily now, like we did at the start, we lend to startups, but we tend to lend, there's a startup loan program which the government have brought out, but we lend to those businesses that are in the next stage and basically seeking to survive and grow. That's what we lend to, and we help and hope to support. And really they need help. They're always going to look for grants, but some innovation, it's a small amount of money by comparison to the big amounts of money that are being put away. I do think though, and I don't like talking about grants because we make loans, at the end of the day, I do think maybe some grant finance of some sort will be required in relation to the energy crisis. Yeah.
One top tip then, if you've got finally, for a business that's watching this thinking, I need to dip my toe in the water, what should they do?
I think there's probably one tip, be absolutely confident about what you do. And I think most entrepreneurs are, and confident in your business, because it's a partnership with a lender or anybody you're going to get funds from. If it's a partnership, you basically need to be confident that you are in that partnership together.
And it goes without saying, no doubt, that if somebody wants to have a word, pick your brains, your door's open.
Absolutely. Yeah? Have a look at the website, www.artbusinessloans.co.uk. There are more than one tip on there, which we developed over the years. They're there, and speak to the team. They've got experience. There's three lenders. They've got experience. We cover the whole of the West Midlands now. We don't just lend in Birmingham.
Excellent. Well, I hope we've whet everybody's appetite there and given them a few ideas where to go next. Steve, great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you again.
Thank you for your time. Thanks a lot.
Very much indeed.